clock read 2 in the morning, and darkness wrapped my room, lit only by the blue glow of my computer screen. I am Youssef, a 20-year-old who considers himself a digital adventurer, roaming the usual edges of the internet until I grew bored of its routine. I had always heard of that parallel world, that place most people don't see or are afraid even to think about, the dark web. Curiosity killed me. I'd heard about black markets, forbidden services, secrets you don't speak of. But most of all, I'd heard of the Red Room, those rooms rumored to stream live torture for Bitcoin. I thought it was an urban legend, a scare story to frighten newcomers. I decided to see for myself. After downloading the Tor browser and setting up the necessary encryption, I found myself facing endless lists of strange links, random strings of letters and numbers leading to unknown worlds. My first stop was the Index of Secrets, a site like a Wikipedia for the dark web. I browsed lists of markets selling everything from drugs to weapons, forged IDs to hacking services. My heart beat fast. I was entering forbidden territory. Then I found a link titled Naked Truth. The description was vague. See the world as it is, without limits, without censorship. Without hesitation, I clicked. The site opened on a black page with a simple line of text. Freedom has a price, beauty and ugliness, truth and pain. Enter if you are brave enough. There was a search bar. I typed Red Room and hit enter. A list of results appeared. Most were forums discussing the Red Room myths. But one link looked different. Its title was simply The Theater. The description read, live shows, unique, unforgettable. Viewers pay, performers pay a higher price. My hands shook as I clicked the link. The page took longer to load and my heart almost stopped when the site's interface appeared. It was terrifyingly elegant, a black background with gold detailing. And in the center, a video player. Below it, a Bitcoin counter and a button that read, donate to the performer. On the right, a side chat was partially empty, with strange usernames like Spectre_23 and Crow_Observer. There was no live stream at that moment, only a message. Next show, tomorrow, 2 a.m., special setup. Stay tuned. I left the site feeling a mix of dread and excitement. Was it real? I decided to return at the appointed time. The next night at exactly 2 in the morning, I sat before the screen again. I entered the theater. This time there was a live stream. The scene was horrifying. A soundproofed room, bare concrete walls, the floor covered in black plastic. In the middle of the room, a man was tied to a chair, his eyes blindfolded, his mouth gagged. He wore ordinary clothes, maybe in his 30s. He looked terrified, his body trembling. There was no sound, just the silent, terrifying image. Then text began appearing in the side chat. The director. Welcome to tonight's viewers. We have a special guest. Is Mr. X. Donations determine the length and nature of the show. Let's start with something simple. 0.1 BTC to remove the blindfold. I watched the Bitcoin counter rise quickly. Within seconds, the amount was collected. A gloved hand reached into the frame and removed the blindfold. The man blinked, his eyes full of terror, looking around trying to understand where he was. His screams were muffled on our screen. Spectre_23. I want to hear him scream. The director. 0.2 BTC to loosen the gag. The donation meter climbed again fast. The hand removed the gag. The man screamed a raw, pure sound of terror, but no audio came to us. It was as if we were watching a silent horror film. Crow_Observer. Sound quality. Pay for the sound. I felt sick. This was real. This wasn't acting. It was a real man being tortured. And I was watching. My mere presence made me complicit. But something inside me was fascinated, ensnared by the brutality. I couldn't close the page. The director, 0.5 BTC to enable audio. Let's hear our music. The donations rose once more. Suddenly, sound burst out. I heard the man's ragged breaths, his shaking sobs. Please let me go. I have a family. I have 2 children. His voice was torn by fear. Tears streamed down his cheeks. The director. Now it's getting fun. What do the people want next? Remember, the highest donations get executed. Requests flooded the chat. Some were disgusting, savage. I felt dizzy. I typed angrily into the chat. This is illegal. Stop this. I'll report you to the police. For a moment, the chat went quiet. Then the director replied. The director. Hey, new visitor _7. Welcome. Looks like we have a hero among us. Don't worry, the police can't reach us, but thanks. You just gave me a great idea for the next show. Cold sweat dotted my forehead. What had I done? On the screen, the man tied to the chair turned toward the camera. His eyes widened even more with terror. The director spoke to him, but we couldn't hear. The director. Mr. X will have a special message for you. New visitor _7. The man trembled, then began to speak in a quavering voice. He says you're the next challenge. He knows who you are. He's coming for you. My breath froze. My blood ran cold. The director. Tonight's show is over. Thanks to the viewers. Special thanks to new visitor _7. See you very soon. The stream cut. The screen went black. I shut the computer immediately, my heart pounding like a mad drum. It was just a threat, wasn't it? How could he know who I was? I was using Tor. I should have been anonymous. In the days that followed, I tried to convince myself it was an elaborate hoax. Maybe it was staged, but the image of the terrified man refused to leave my mind, and the threat echoed in my head. Then strange things began to happen. On the third day, I found a small paper note lying outside my apartment door. It was a clean white scrap with neat handwriting. Thanks for watching. I went to the police. The officer laughed when I told him I'd entered the dark web and watched what I thought was a murder. He told me they received dozens of such reports weekly. Most are hoaxes or the hallucinations of drug users. He advised me to stay away from those porn sites and live my life. I felt hopeless. No one believed me. That night, I sat alone in the dark, trying to make sense of things. Suddenly, my phone rang. An unknown number. I refused the call. Then a text arrived. Why are you ignoring my calls, Youssef? Aren't you curious anymore? I froze. My name. How did he know my name? I typed back. Who are you? The reply came instantly. The director. I offer you the leading role in the next show. No donations required this time. You're the special guest. My phone began to ring again. With a trembling hand, I answered. For a moment, there was no sound, only a heavy silence. Then a metallic, distorted whisper. I'm outside your window. I looked at my window. The curtains were drawn. I crept closer and opened a small slit with shaking hands. The street was dark and empty. No one. I breathed a sigh of relief. It was just a threat. Then a light knock sounded at the door. The knocks were soft, regular, like the ticking of the seconds hand. I couldn't move. Pure terror froze every muscle. The knock stopped. Then I heard something scrape, as if something slid under the door. After minutes of silence, I dared to approach. I looked through the peephole, no one. Then at the floor. There was another white slip of paper. With a trembling hand, I picked it up. It was a photo. A picture of me sleeping in my bed, taken last night from inside my room. My heart screamed. He was here, inside my home. I fled the apartment, shaking, taking only my phone and wallet. I convinced a friend to let me sleep at his place for a night. I didn't tell him the details, only that someone was after me. At my friend's apartment, I felt temporarily safe. But in the middle of the night, I woke to my phone ringing. A text. Running away is part of the fun, Youssef. But every game has an end. Beside the message was another photo. A picture of me sleeping on my friend's couch, taken just hours earlier. I screamed. He was following me. He always knew my location. My friend woke up, annoyed. When I told him the story, he panicked and kicked me out. He was afraid for his safety. I was on the street at 3 a.m, trembling with fear and cold. I had nowhere to go. I walked into an all-night internet cafe trying to find a solution. I sat at a public computer, attempting to re-enter the dark web. Maybe I could find information on him, his identity. Maybe I could stop him. I logged into the theater again. This time there was a live stream. The scene was familiar. A soundproof room, concrete walls. But this time the chair was empty. The director sat in another chair with his back to the camera. He turned. He wore the same black coat and a white ornate mask with no eye holes. Only dark openings where eyes should be. It was terrifying that he seemed to know I was watching. The director. Welcome back, Youssef. You missed the main show. But don't worry, the party is about to begin. I have a special show for you. Look to your right. By instinct, I looked to my right in the dim stall at the internet cafe. Nothing. Then I heard footsteps behind me. I turned quickly. The cafe was nearly empty. Only the janitor cleaning in the far corner. On the screen, the director laughed, a mechanical sound. The director. Not yet, Youssef. Not yet. I'm here to give you a choice. You can be the star in the next show, or you can be a viewer. This time I'll show you something closer to home. A new video appeared on the screen. It showed surveillance footage of my house, my comings and goings, then footage of my friend's apartment, then footage of my parents' home. The director. Your family is so lovely, Youssef. Your mother is beautiful. And your little sister, Haifa, right? She looks like a doll at 10 years old. Tears of fear and fury streamed down my face. I typed in the chat, leave them alone. This is between you and me. Hey, the director. Oh, but it's not just between you and me anymore. It's a delightful game and we have a hungry audience. Here's the choice. Surrender yourself and I'll take you and your family will be safe. Or keep running and I'll start with your family. I'll make them the stars. We have many requests for family shows. He gave me an address, an abandoned warehouse in the industrial district. I had to be there before dawn. Otherwise, the next episode will be filmed at your parents' house. This was my end. I knew it, but I had no choice. I couldn't put my family at risk. I took a taxi to the industrial area. The zone was dark and abandoned. Wind rattled doors and broken glass. The warehouse he'd specified was the largest. Its metal doors were slightly ajar, like a dark mouth waiting. I entered trembling. Inside it was vast and dark, smelling of metal, oil, and dust. Then the lights snapped on. The space was lit by bright lamps aimed at a platform in the center. On the platform was a chair, recording gear, cameras mounted on tripods. In the corner, a large screen lay dark. A man stood in the middle of the space with his back to me. He wore the same black coat. Then he turned. He had on the white mask. "Hello, Youssef," he said. His voice was normal, without distortion. "Thanks for accepting the invitation." "Who are you?" I whispered, my voice cracking. "You came to me, remember? You entered my world. You spoke in my chat." He took a step toward me. "I'm an artist. My works need an audience. And discerning viewers like you." "Why me?" "Because you're perfect." He chuckled, a soft, repulsive sound. "An ordinary young man, an ordinary life. But your curiosity made you special. The audience loves stories they can relate to. You are everybody. Each of us has that hidden curiosity, that little darkness inside. You symbolize it." He raised his hand and held a remote. He pressed a button. The big screen in the corner lit up, showing the live chat from the theater. It was full of usernames and asking for requests. "Look," he exclaimed. "The audience is excited. We've already raised record donations. This will be a historic show." "I called the police," I lied, trying to sound strong. "They're on their way." He laughed again. "Oh, Youssef, if only you knew how many times I've heard that. No one will come. The world doesn't care about people like you. You're a number, views, and digital coins in my wallet." He pointed to the chair. "Sit, let's begin. The more you cooperate, the less pain. For your family later." My legs trembled beneath me. I searched desperately for an exit, anything I could use as a weapon. Nearby tables were strewn with tools, pliers, wires, knives, things I'd seen in the previous broadcast. "Don't even think about it," he said, pulling a pistol from beneath his coat. "I can make this very painful. Or we can play by my rules. The choice is yours." Slowly, I approached the chair. This was the end. I sat, overwhelmed by helplessness. He bound my wrists and ankles with strong leather. It was tight, His movements were expert. "Excellent," he whispered in my ear. "Now, let's present you to the audience." He went to the cameras and aimed them. Then he stood in front of me, his mask hiding his face. "Ladies and gentlemen around the world," he said theatrically, "I present to you a new star. This is Yusef, the curious young man who wanted to see the dark world. And now he's in it." The cameras turned to me. Tears ran down my cheeks, but I tried to resist. "Why are you doing this? What do you want?" He paused and looked at me as if my question were foolish. The goal? The goal is pleasure, power. To prove that all of this, he waved his hand around, all civilization, all morality is a thin shell. Beneath it, we are animals. We, the newcomers, are masters of the underworld. We give the audience what they truly want to see, pure bestial fear. And you, Yusef, will embody that fear. He returned to the table and chose a long, thin knife. The blade gleamed under the bright lights. "Now, let's start with the first touch. The audience pays to see blood." At that moment, I heard an explosion. The warehouse's metal door burst open, and a group of men in protective vests rushed in, weapons drawn. "Police! Don't move!" The director flinched in surprise, then fired at them. Gunshots rang through the warehouse. I heard shouts and orders. One officer ran to me, while others exchanged fire with the director hiding behind the cameras. "You're safe," the officer said as he cut my restraints. "We're the cybercrimes unit. We've been tracking this criminal for months." He held me to my feet, my body shaking. How did you know I was here?" "We've been monitoring him for a while," the officer said as we moved to safety. "When you reported the site, they didn't take your complaint seriously at first, but one of our younger detectives insisted on investigating. We traced the Bitcoin transfers and monitored his communications. When he sent you that address, we were watching the location." I looked back where the director had been trading fire with the police. Suddenly, I heard another explosion, a smoke bomb, the warehouse filled with dense smoke. "He escaped!" someone shouted. After minutes, the smoke cleared. The director had vanished. They found a secret tunnel behind one of the machines. They took me to the hospital for a checkup, and then to the police station for questioning. I told them everything, all the terrifying details. The lead investigator told me, "You were lucky, Yusef. This man is responsible for the disappearance of at least 20 people. We know him as the director. He's an expert in technology and encryption. We could never catch him before. But he knows everything about me," I said, terrified. "He knows my family, my friends. He was inside my home." "We'll put you and your family under protection," the investigator assured me. "But you must be very careful. This man does not forget, and he now sees you as part of his story." I returned home after days under police guard. I tried to get back to a normal life, but I wasn't the same person anymore. Every knock at the door, every phone ring made me jump. I saw that white mask in every dream and shadow. One night, while trying to sleep, I saw a message on my phone. This time it wasn't an unknown number, but an anonymous account on an encrypted messenger. The message contained a photo, the white mask on a pillow in a hotel room. Under it, the text, "The show must go on. Act 2 is coming. Prepare." I knew this would not end. The director was still free, and I was the unwilling star of his terrifying theater. The dark web was not just a place on the internet. It was a state of mind, real human darkness. By my blind curiosity, I opened the door and invited that darkness into my life, and now I could not close it. In quiet nights, I hear his whispers. The audience waits, and the show must go on. Worse than that, sometimes I find myself wondering, what will happen in the next episode?